Welcome, YouTubers, maybe Rumble, maybe a couple other people, Facebook. This is News with a View, a Fat Cat production. And a Fat Cat will go right up here when I'm done with post production. Today is July 7th. It is a Monday, 2025. This should be episode 98. No script today. Lot actually going on. Of course, everything with, Elon Musk and President Trump. And to me, it's just a show. It's a magician act, sleight of hand. The truth will be that there is no argument, there is no fight, there is no nothing. It's a ploy just to get midterm voters. This is just me thinking this. To get midterm voters who are Democrats to get on board with Elon Musk, but push a conservative agenda. But one, that says, hey, we're all for this. We don't like what he did, but, the Irish called it malarkey. I won't tell you what the Italians called it. But I think it is a act. I don't think that Musk and Trump are feuding it out and doing it. It's just to feed the liberals. And I'm just moving this just over to here. It's an act. Everyone got to remember Donald Trump. I can't see anything that this one big beautiful bill would really get Elon Musk, off his rocker. It's a ruse. And this is where I said the media can drive an agenda. And I will call out the media when they drive these fake narratives. And I think it's a fake narrative. I don't think that there's anything horrible going on there. I don't think this is anything but, pure nonsense. It's here, I'm going over here like this, and you're not seeing what I'm doing over here. So, we shall see. I have been wrong before. But I get the indication that this is more than just, this is Trump playing the people. It's a donation grab. It's to take money away from Democrats who supported Trump, but now they're like, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And I don't like the liberal progressives that are in the Democrats right now, but I don't want to vote for, not that they could vote for Trump, but they could vote for Republicans. And Musk will get a bunch of Republicans that are behind him and against the Democrats, and they're going to split the difference. The Republicans will stay in power, and it'll be business as usual. So I don't see this as being anything but, we're doing a grab. Now, the other thing that I see a lot of in the news, and it really is getting me on edge. The Democrats all screaming, freedom, democracy, being taken away from us. Trump's going after citizens. The reality is, folks, if you want to look back in the last 5 years on who the people who were the most likely to take away and did take away your rights were the Democrats. They locked you in your homes, kept you from your place of worship, kept you from your family, arrested you if you went out and were caught going to people's houses, had told people, neighbors, watch your neighbors. Then they came out and said, if you do not get the vaccine, you can't work. How many municipalities told their people, city and county and state workers, you must get the vaccine? You don't get the vaccine by this date, you can't work, you're fired, you're gone. It's a job abandonment. Yeah. How many Democrats were out there screaming to put those who would not get who said thank you but no thank you to the vaccine? It wasn't a vaccine. They needed to go in special camps or maybe wear armbands. Or if they do get sick, no medical insurance. The insurance company shouldn't have to pay for it, or Medicaid or Medicare. Remember that? All that screaming? From the Democrats, who had absolutely no problem doing that. Yet, your Pelosi's were getting her hair done. Your Gavin Newsoms were going to parties. Your Governor Cuomo was touching women's butts. Yeah. And you want to say, who's the biggest threat to democracy? It's Donald Trump. Who made the pretend sanctuary status? There is no law that says sanctuary. There is none. No one voted on it. Yet, cities were overrun. States invited them in. And then their cities were swollen to the point where businesses moved out, places were being robbed. It's still going on today. Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego. It's it's Mad Max. It's Escape from New York City. And you don't think so. But this is the case. That this is what's going on out there. And it is a real symptom of the Democrats. You can't tell me anything else. There was no one else doing it. The Democrats were the biggest threat to our democracy. And they opened up the coffers. You know, Joe Biden was shoving money out the door, well, because that's what he needed to do. You couldn't have the economy collapse, but you were then paying people to do nothing. And businesses were saying, if you did it, we paid your payrolls, we do this, we do it all. Which I didn't have a problem with. I thought that was, you know, if they're going to lock you up, they might as well pay you, but it wasn't going to be the answer to COVID. They lied about 2 weeks. They lied about the N95 mask. They lied. Got up on a podium and lied. And now, all of a sudden, everyone forgets that. Well, no, they saved millions of lives. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. There was absolutely no difference. Absolutely none. And families couldn't be with their family members at their end. Remember, Governor Cuomo took them out of the hospitals, threw them into nursing homes, and they died. And they died because he said there was no room. We had to free up the hospitals. We had hospital ship in Manhattan that stayed empty. You had hospital ships in California that stayed empty. And you had your Pelosi's and everyone going, what a great job, pretending to wear her mask and then going out and doing whatever the hell she wanted to do. But if you did it, you got arrested or you were shamed. You were told, you're going to kill grandma and grandpa. You know, I mean, absolutely the biggest threat to our democracy was the Democrats using COVID to take away your rights. Now, COVID was real. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It was their reaction to it. And we've been through pandemics. This was a grab. This was a power grab. They saw that they could stuff ballots. They could, Kash Patel is releasing information how China was using, they had already printed up driver's licenses for people to go. And just in New York State, there's been DMV scandals. Not to that extent, and I'm not saying that the Democrats were behind that. They certainly were not behind that. But it shows you just how powerful a driver's license can be when it came to voting. And maybe not so much in a federal election, but states elect governors. States elect congressmen. States select senators. there was no way that the Democrats were not behind with Obama and Biden and our borders. They were wide open. They weren't bringing these people in for humanitarian reasons. Absolutely not. It was for votes. They threw them into towns. No forewarning. No way that the states or counties or cities could even handle that. The federal government was paying for Medicaid, EBT. The FEMA was using disaster relief money and siphoning it off to pay for hotels, to pay for, whatever, for illegals. Nowhere was that allowed. Nowhere. Not allowed. The money was misappropriated. Now, you have President Trump come in and goes, that's over, pal. The one big beautiful bill. Well, we're going to cut Medicaid to the illegals. And if you don't have status here, if you don't have a green card, you might not get this. And you might not be able to go on the open market to get it. Yeah. And now you have people go, trillions of dollars were thrown out. Money that could have been used to pay for health care for people, for citizens. For citizens. What was done was an attack on our democracy. And I do say this again. I hate executive orders. I hate them. I don't care if Trump does it. I don't care who does it. They're wrong. A president should only have 10 in his term. You're allowed 10 executive orders. And that's it. So they must be used wisely. And I say, again, everyone's screaming, oh, Trump, and Biden, executive orders, they were just flying out the door. And the president that signed the most executive orders was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. It was 3,751. Now, of course, that was over 12 years. That's still a lot of writing. And, a lot had to do with World War II and the build-up to World War II, and there was a lot of reasons why he had to do that. But Franklin Delano Roosevelt was also the first president to fire a Senate-approved head of one of the administrations, the FTC, and became as the Humphreys executor, ruling by the Supreme Court, which said that the president could not fire these people without going through the Senate, and with just reasons. So when I heard Trump doing this and just saying I'm firing them. If you listen to one of my first podcasts, I said, not going to win that one. Because there's already very vetted law on that. Now, had Trump had said these people were ineffective or dereliction of duty, they didn't catch a crime that, I mean, they were watching people carrying television sets out the door and didn't do anything. Then, yes, he could fire them and then report that to Congress go, this is why I did it, folks. This is why I did it. But that didn't happen. He yelled and they're ineffective. Look at the waste. Look, I got Doge, but if he didn't do it that way and went to the Senate and went to the Congresses and said, I'm going to do this, I'm clawing this back, I'm taking this back, it would never have happened. He would have been fought by both sides. By both sides. So what Trump did in there, and I know I went off the subject of the Democrats, but what Trump did with that was better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And just do it. But that's not the way this works, folks. And this is not how our Constitution works. This book's just on the 14th Amendment. It's a great book. And I have state rights, the Constitution, the real Anthony Fauci. And I'm reading more. I'm trying to do it online, but it's very hard for me to do it online. I need a book. The problem, again, with the Democrats is they don't have a plan. It's been 7 months now, 8 months since Donald Trump won, and there's no plan by the Democrats. Their plan is to throw mud, to say, Trump is bad, he's evil, he's cruel. It's not going to work. And if that's the only thing you got, people are going to be looking at you and go, okay, he's cruel and he can be mean and he can do this, but you know what? What are you giving me? Hopes and dreams? I'm going to take that. And that's what's going to happen. And that's exactly getting back to what I said Elon Musk is doing. He's slicing your piece of pie even thinner. And you don't see it. And the liberal media is just jumping right in there. Fox is loving it. Trump is loving it. And what I don't like is the wool being pulled over people's eyes. I don't care if was Biden doing it. I don't care that Trump is doing it. I'm going to call you out as I see it. And that's what needs to be done. Common sense. We need common sense. We don't need to have special laws for special people, because you're not special. You are a person who is already covered under the U.S. Constitution. You don't need super rights. You don't need your own set of rights. You don't need it. We have them already. Each one of us have our rights. And what is now happening is you're having a president going out there and going, what exactly does the 14th Amendment mean by that? And you already lost a few big ones. A few big ones, folks. Because you pressed the issue. You pressed the issue. And you abused it. And you allowed people to come in here and put their big toe. And that was the Republicans too. You put your big toe on our beach and you're here. Now, the only ones on this side of the hemisphere that had that claim to do that were the Cubans. Because there was no way for them to leave voluntarily. There was no way for them to go to a U.S. embassy and give, there was no way they could even go to anyone else's embassy to go there and go, I want out of here. You couldn't go. No, denied. So you had these people fleeing by any means possible, and then you had a government here saying, hey, if we stop you at sea, we got to turn you around. But if you get to our beaches, how many people died? How many people drowned? How many people died at sea over such a horrible, horrible decision as that? How many people died in our deserts? How many people were murdered? How many lives lost because of a bad, bad policy? Because no one wanted to put their fingerprints on an immigration bill. The Democrats made a horrible bill, but they did do a bill. They tried to get that through, and it was terrible. Honestly, it was a suicide for our country. And finally, you have a president that said, I'm stopping the border. We're stopping it. You had a president that let 12 million people in here. And before that, in the times before that, it was 30 million people. From Obama time through Trump, then to Biden. 30 million people through that border illegally. I'm not talking about legal ones. I'm not talking about people that, filed papers and they have green cards and they went through the vetting process. I'm talking about people that just showed up and go, well, I need protection. My country's not safe. No. And they created a TPS, temporary protection status. They should have just touch black, no backs. Such don't ask, don't tell. I mean, stupid, inconceivable. Because it was temporary. And if you look up temporary, it doesn't mean forever or, always, always going back out again. It meant that there was an end. And you had enough Americans going, I know, but I don't want to be the one, but you know what? We'll let Trump be the one. He'll do it. You have your Schumers, your Pelosi's, your Waters, your Green, your Schiffs, your Warrens, uh, people that should be long gone. Republicans too. And I'm not talking, I'm not a fan on term limits. Because someone doing a good job, I'd like them to stay there. But what you find out is that most people that stay a long time stay because they're covering their tracks. That they know when they leave, all this stuff gets exposed. It happens in businesses. When I ran a credit union, everyone had to take their vacation. It was very rare that someone didn't go a week, and they were very good in I was very good in my credit union. Most of the employees got 4 weeks off, 5 weeks off, but they were there 15, 20 years. But they at least had to take a week off. Yeah, I'd buy them out of their other weeks if they didn't take them, if they wanted to bank them for whatever. Sure. Go ahead. This was a small credit union. We only had 2 or 3 employees, and you had 2 people go at the same time, and that happened. People have lives, and one person would run the show. And you're down 63%, so if someone wants to stay and go, well, I don't have to take a vacation right now, but, it's getting towards the end of the year, I didn't use it. Well, you want to take Christmas off, take Christmas off. Take the whole week of Christmas off and the week of New Year off, if that's what you want. And that goes into your next year, and I'll pay you out for the other year. But they had to go. So, if there was anything shenanigans going on, yeah, I'd catch it. But we ran that place like a bank should be. Every day those books had to balance. And if they didn't balance, and I only had like a $30 plus or minus per month, and it had to be noted and then told to the board of directors at a meeting, hey, we were out 30 or had 30 more than I can't figure out how we got $30 more. And we'd go through and we'd find it and then fix it. And our books were very, very good because everyone did their job. And at the end of the day, I did my job. I made sure that person did their job, that person did their job, and that person did their job. And I spent weekends going over the books, looking at stuff, because that's what you have to do. If not, it can get out of hand very quickly. And that's how I had gotten involved with the credit union. It had gotten out of hand. And one of the people I worked with said, do you know anything about doing books and stuff? And I go, yeah, I do. And then when I went up there and I saw everything, I said, this is expert time. I can only do so much, but I found this. I don't know what to do after this point. And we brought in outside accounting firm to come in. Go everything, all the stuff I looked at, all the stuff I found, all the stuff I didn't find. We corrected the problem, wrote policies, little change of staff, and we learned. And you go through, and even when we had examinations and the government would come in, hey, we don't like how this is being done. It's right on the edge of, and I go, we don't like being on the edge of anything. And if there is an edge, I want a fence there. So I know exactly how far I can go before I go over that edge. And I'd sit down, I go, you work with other small credit unions. What do they do when they, when they go, this, do this, or they didn't say do this. They go, this is an example of what other credit unions do. And I go, oh, okay, I never thought of that. And, let me run it through my board. We'd make a policy and we'd address it. That's what government's supposed to work too, folks. But we have a Congress that did crap. And now that we have a red Congress, stuff better happen. We're not going to put blue people in there. We'll just put different red people in there. And just like we don't like what Trump does, or Vance, we'll put another red person in there. That's called having a plan. Not having hopes and dreams. Hopes and dreams are for 7-year-old girls. I want a plan. I want to see it. I want to examine it. I want to look at it. I want none of this other crap. And you have some good Democrats that could get it done. Honestly, there are good Democrats out there. And some lousy Republicans that I'd like to see gone. I'm not a fan of Lindsey Graham, folks. He's gotten a little too comfortable sitting in there. Haven't heard much from Tim Scott either, have you? It's a wake-up call, folks. It's a wake-up call. Again, going back to Medicaid, not Medicare, but Medicaid, and that is for, and that's just been hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars tossed out for anyone. And I do get the idea that if you're here and you get sick, I don't want people dying in the street. If they're going to die, let it be in the hospital. But not in our streets. And they're here. I mean, unless you can go like this and blink them out of here, but they're here. What are you going to do with these people? They're going to show up at hospitals. Sorry, I'm going to turn you away because, there is an answer. But who is bold enough to do it? Who is bold enough to say, starting tomorrow, anyone that comes in here illegally, they get their asses booted right out. You don't get if we catch you coming over the border, boom, you are gone. You come back again, it's like a trespass. I'll shoot you. But the people that came here under the guise of the Democrats going, is that their fault? Is it those people's fault? Is it their children's fault? No. Put the blame where the blame is. Freaking Democrats. But these people are here. Majority want to work. They want a life here. Let's find a way to keep them here. There's a way. There is a way. There's an honorable way. There is a smart way. There is a humane way. Who's strong enough to do it? Who's strong enough to go, I hear you conservatives. I hear you liberals. Now hear me. I heard you. I heard you. Now you hear from me. Donald Trump is the only president that has no forward agenda other than to, be powerful and rich. Who doesn't have that agenda? He is thinking about the party line, of course. But he has a chance here to be a super president, an Abraham Lincoln, a George Washington. He has a chance. But here's what has to happen. Democrats, you must get on board with Donald Trump. If you truly believe in what you're saying about illegals, about immigrants, about family, the only way you can even think of being successful is by getting on the bandwagon. Because Trump will push it, he will win, and these people will be going out in mass. Because he is doing what he has to do. You, Democrats, tried to do it in the middle of the night, underneath the floor, jumping over fences. You weren't straight up with America. And like I said before, we're going to bring this up in 2026. Locked us in our houses, kept us away from our family, kept us from going to churches, synagogues, mosques, or a spaghetti cauldron. Don't care. You kept us from doing that. You made people get an experimental jab, or they couldn't work. You wanted to lock people up. The Democrats have failed repeatedly. Not just stumbled and wobbled, they fell down. They caved in. They lost their way. They lost their common sense. And I can't see you guys winning in 2026. I can't see you guys winning in 2028. Because you got nothing. You have nothing. What a shame. What a shame. Well, this is going on 46 minutes of me yelling. Not yelling, I don't yell. I point my finger. Believe me, I got yelled at. I got yelled at from every person I've worked with, every person I had to deal with in management, every person, because it's my Italian. If my German came out in me, I'd be stabby, stabby. But my Italian, what are you? You're cocuts. So, we're getting very close, very, very close to just having the president make his decision. And he has no other choice but to make what I call a bad decision. A bad decision. But it's a decision. And he was pushed into making a bad decision. Because the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress didn't do their job. And that's why they had executive orders, was because when they couldn't do it, then the president could say, well, in the executive branch, hear ye, hear ye. As the words are spoken, the deed is done. So, the other thing I saw going on today, and I'm going to try to bring this up here, as I don't knock myself off the air here, at least on Facebook. The market was taking a bit of a beating. You got the S&P down about 1%. You got the Dow down 1.16%. It's a big drop. NASDAQ is down 1%. And this all has to do with Trump again. You know, I'm going to hit Korea. I'm going to hit Japan, 25%. And he is using that as a whip. And it is effective. But people that have their money out there floating around, yeah, that's gut-wrenching. But we've recovered. I mean, the Dow is back up to 44. The S&P is over 6. It will recover. Markets go up, markets go down. Historically, they've always recovered and flourished. What is interesting is I used to have to look at all these numbers, on top of everything else I freaking did, is you start seeing the pattern was someone is sinusoidal, up and down, almost like an AC sine wave. And now it's like a shark's tooth. It goes up, and you get these spikes. And they happen a lot more frequently and a lot more intensely. It's because we do have a global economy, and there's a, you know, what used to was not an influence, now it's an influence. You have China, out there, huge, huge influence in the market for all the bad reasons. Russia, who, Biden, we're going to crush their economy, we're going to boom. They're doing great. Because they're on a war economy. Now, we have a guns and butter economy. But when you have people like Zoran, who wants to turn New York City into a mini Cuba, yeah, you're going to have people going, the United States was a safe place for money, but now they're capital of capitalism. Yeah. Yeah. So, the other things, let's see what else is going on here today. Yeah, Trump yammering about something before. I hate going to Fox News. I hate going to MSNBC News, and all right. Yeah, I'm tired of this guy. Elizabeth Warren posted this troubling video. Yeah, she is a nut. She is a nut. So Zoran Mamdini, who misrepresented himself on an application, but then you got to look at it. Do you consider yourself a African? Yes. I lived in Uganda. Uganda's in Africa. Yeah. Do you consider yourself an African American? Well, when he was filling that out, he wasn't yet an American. But in a stretch, you could say, I'm here in America. I'd like to consider myself an American. And yes, I'm from Africa. Now, everyone assumes here African American means black. Now, on those applications, they do have little check marks there. If he checked black and pulled all the levers, this guy has a problem. And is it a huge problem? No. But it's something that can come up and go, explain it. What was your thinking at the time? I wanted a free education. Yeah, my dad was a professor. Try to get it for free. Before I have to hand out any money, try to get it for free. All right. And using his logic in there, I don't know. I think the guy's bad news, but former White House lawyer Ty Cobb. I'd be embarrassed to have a name like Ty Cobb, but that's besides the point. These people. All right, ex-DNC insider says party went to great lengths to hide Biden's mental decline. Do you know the sun goes down in the west today? Just in case you didn't know that either. MS-13 gang members caught in Dallas as relatives assault federal agents. Yeah, well, we know what was going to happen. So, and another one in a BuzzFeed. It appears Elon Musk really pissed off Donald Trump this time, and I'm convinced they're donezo. Yeah, right there, like I said before. Watch over here. Don't worry where his hand is. You buy that. All right, Trump claims he struck a side deal with Sundance for an additional $16 million in 60 minutes settlement. I said it was 30 million. People were correcting me. No, it's 16. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. It's 30 million. So, $16 million CBS Paramount had to pay. $15 million that they're going to give, Sundance is going to give to Trump's, library or something like this. I think it's great. And Trump is also saying the football teams, Commanders, should never have changed their name. Oh, what could they do? They had people screaming and yelling and carrying on, and 30 people in front of a stadium, and the crowd was huge. Yeah, if this was on the polar ice cap. I mean, they're ridiculous. So that's what's going on in the world today. A little bit more concerned about what's going on in the world of finance, because that hits all of us. But this again, it goes up, it goes down. Next week it will go up 1%. So, and do not take any financial advice from me. I'm not a financial advisor. But if you look back, you could look for yourself. Yeah, it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. Hopefully you don't buy high, sell low. What can you do? All right. With that, I'm going to say later. Everyone have a safe evening. Give to a charity. If you can, charity does begin at home. If you can't give to a charity, or you don't want to give to a food bank. Get 4 cans. Bring 4 cans over. Wouldn't that be nice if 500 people that never did it before just started showing up and giving 4 cans? 2,000 cans a week. 100,000 cans per year. What's 4 cans of vegetables or canned meat or SpaghettiOs? What's that to us? To me, nothing. But to someone who doesn't have it, could be everything. Just make sure if you're going to give to a charity, it's a bona fide charity, you go to that charity. Don't have them come to you. Go to a food bank. My third saying all the time, say a prayer. Prayer does work. And with that, Danielle, Paul, Christopher, Rowan, Samantha, Nevaeh, Little Dave, New Baby, which si- Silas. I knew I'd get that out. It's a tongue twister for me. Uh, Joey. You know, and they're all part of the family. And Joey's fiance, which I always forget her name. And I don't want to say the wrong name because then I get in all types of trouble. But believe me, I've done that. You know, made a mistake and called a friend's wife the ex-wife's name, and yikes. 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 Don't want to do that. I'm always hoping Linda's watching. I don't expect Donna, Christina, Suzanne to watch. Maybe Patrick and Amy. Maybe my sister-in-law could be watching. But I hope they all do, because it's fun and educational to hear me talk. All right, with that, I'm going to put my other screen back up, and then I'm going to say good night as I fade to black.